Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Jobity. I'm the Brilliance Unveiler and founder of The Unveiled Way and host of the Power Shift Summit, Women Igniting Change and Shaping the Future. I am so thrilled to bring this event to women everywhere because I believe we're at a pivotal point in time where women everywhere are being called to rise and shine. This dynamic event brings together visionary, trailblazing, impact-minded women leaders who are breaking boundaries and redefining what it means to lead. It is designed for women who are ready to challenge the status quo, think bigger, and make a lasting impact. These authentic, unedited conversations are meant to ignite your inner fire so you will be inspired, motivated, and emboldened to take the reins of your destiny and soar as the powerhouse woman that you are. Our powerhouse speaker today is the fabulous Jocelyn Starfeather. Jocelyn, welcome.
Hi, Natalie. I am so excited to be part of your event. I love everything you just said. It's so powerful, so beautiful. So thanks for having me here with you.
You're welcome. So let's introduce Jocelyn formally. So Jocelyn Starfeather is a visibility and thought leadership coach for visionary entrepreneurs, spiritual alchemists, astrologer, and founder of Sacred Planet. She shares shamanic and ancient wisdom to guide courageous seekers in co-creating a revolutionary new world in alignment with Mother Earth and the vast intelligence of the cosmos. After a successful 15-year corporate career working in finance for major multinational corporations, Jocelyn was thrust into a deep spiritual awakening. It was this awakening that turned her life upside down, and from which she emerged with a powerful understanding of how to use her intuition and healing abilities, aspects of herself that she never had access to before. She dove deeply into earth-based and shamanic practices, and she has studied alongside elders and wisdom keepers ever since. She has extensively studied ancient civilizations, especially cultures where the goddess held a strong presence, and she has spent profound and life-changing time in the ancient temples and pyramids of Egypt. Wow, Jocelyn, what a track record there. So Jocelyn's going to talk to us today about how to reach a global audience with your purpose and mission. So Jocelyn, when I wrote my book, It's Your Time to Shine, Girl, I was so called, it was in 2022, I felt so called to that it was a time for women to step out and just really shine and soar and just be in the best of their brilliance. And I still feel that so strongly. Why do you think the world needs our gifts now more than ever?
Yes. Wow. Thank you, Natalie, for the beautiful introduction. And I just love that you have written a book called It's Your Time to Shine, Girl. That's so amazing. I want to go get that book. I encourage everybody to go get that book. And yes, this is so important for us to consider at this time, right? Why does the world need us now more than ever before? Truly. So there's a lot of change in the world. There's a lot of situations where people are realizing we need to change our lives, we need to change our career, we need to change our relationships, right? So this is one piece. Maybe people are having a health crisis. Maybe people are having a financial, situation where they're realizing they want to make money in a different way, right? So many different ways we're realizing now that we want to change our lives. So this is one piece, those of us who are serving as coaches or consultants or healers or teachers, however that may be, right? That we're in service to others, that we want to help make the world a better place through, guiding people through these changes, these initiations, these big moments in our lives, right? We are so deeply needed because everybody's in change. Everybody's in transition, truly, at this time. There's another thing that's happening that I think is really important to pay attention to, which is we're having a crisis of leadership in our world. I mean, major, right? And so, the people who are leading the governments, the people who are leading the big corporations, these are the people that are making decisions that affect everybody else. And for the most part, I don't want to generalize too much, but in large part, these people who are in these major decision-making positions are not making decisions for the common good, right? They're making decisions that may be based on ego or power or greed or money or whatever the things are. And so what I see happening in the world right now, particularly among women, and this is one reason why I'm especially excited about your event, is that we are feeling the need to rise and become the next leaders of tomorrow. And literally tomorrow, like not a far away tomorrow. I'm not talking about 10 years from now tomorrow. I'm talking about like today and tomorrow. We know we need to rise up and lead. And this is so much of what you talk about and what you guide women to do in your beautiful work. We are here to rise into our power. We are here to find our courage, our confidence, our boldness, and really take the reins and take the role, of leadership. And this will be a true kind of leadership. This will be a leadership. It's so beautiful what I see happening in the world and with my clients and people in my community that I talk to. It's the visionaries, right? The light workers, the teachers, the ones who have the good of all in mind, who are now feeling called to rise up into leadership, the people who truly want to change the world for the better, the people who truly have integrity and the highest level motivations, right, are stepping up and are ready to be leaders now. And I know everybody listening to this interview is feeling that call in some way, right? So we are so needed because we're feeling this call to really change the world through coming into our power. So I'll pause there. I could go on and on about that topic, but
I mean, I feel like it's just like literally it's what I feel too. And even though we're coming at it from different perspectives and thought leadership, Jocelyn, like it is a real thing. Something came to mind and I just forgot it. So the type of leadership that you're describing, I call it authentic leadership, honestly. I just gave a talk about that this week, and I literally was saying this is what authentic leadership looks like, or intuitive leadership. Those are words I use because, and as you're saying, a different style. Do you want to
yes.
say anything more about that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is, we can go into a little bit of astrology with this, and it gets really interesting when we do, because we are feeling a shift into the energies of Aquarius, right? That's a really, really big, massive movement that's happening right now, and it's not just astrological; it's actually astronomical. It's a scientific fact. The sun is now starting to rise in the constellation of Aquarius on the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. So we're truly going into the age of Aquarius. Now, this is really interesting because the Aquarian values are going to define this next level of leadership. And it's very, very different than what has come before. Okay, so the Aquarian values include these values that we've mentioned of integrity, authenticity, being aware of what is best for all, the common good, right? And Aquarian values are very humanitarian, very egalitarian, right? Not this situation that we see in the world today where like 1 or 2% of people have all the power and all the money. That's just ridiculous. It's like that has to crumble. That structure is not working for anybody except for those like few people at the top, right?
Yeah.
And so the Aquarian values are very much thinking about everybody in the community from the ground up. And it's like leadership coming from the ground up, not from the top down.
Not positional authority, not hierarchical, not power over,
Exactly.
power with.
Yes, yes, power with. And another amazing thing about the Aquarian values is that it really values the individuality, the uniqueness, the unique genius of every individual. And so this is something really cool that's happening in our world. I think where before it was like keeping up with the Joneses and we want to, everybody wants to be like everybody else. That is just going out the window now.
Yeah.
Like the more unique we can be, the more individual we can be, the more we can shine with our own brilliance, the more we're going to be respected and honored for that. And that's incredible. I see that coming through so much in the younger generations too, with my kids and everything. It's fascinating. They're willing to go their own way, which was not the case when I was that age, right? So this is a big shift, a big movement, valuing the unique genius of every individual. It's a very Aquarian idea, and it's rising right now.
So there's a song called when I was growing up, the age of Aquarius. Do you know that
Yes.
song? I'm like thinking of, I'm like, there was a song like back in the 70s, I think it was.
Yeah, they knew it was coming. They were
It's
already
so
singing.
hilarious. Like it's just like just know we're here in the age of Aquarius. I have to go back and read the lyrics of that song. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I love it. One of the phrases I use to the last point that I love, and I say it all the time, is it's that your individuality is your exceptionality.
I love that. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, Jocelyn, why do we have so many doubts and fears and resistance that come up when we open the door to step into our soul purpose work?
Yes, this is great because we're just talking about our unique brilliance, right? Our unique genius. So yes, how can we really claim that? So this is a big thing, and this is a deep part of the healing work that so many of us are doing right now, especially those who are called to be entrepreneurs or called to be leaders in some way, right? It's like we can't just step into starting a business. It's not just that simple. We've got to also do this healing and peel back the layers that would keep us from really achieving our goals. So these woundings come from different traumas, different events that have happened to us, maybe in this lifetime, maybe things that happened to us during our childhood, maybe even in previous lifetimes, previous generations, where there were traumas and woundings where we were silenced, right? Or maybe where many, many, many generations of our family have been silenced, or where we were outcast from the community when we stepped into that role of teacher or leader, right? But we were kicked out because we were too different, right, at that time. And this has happened in so many ways over really thousands of years now. And so it's very deeply ingrained in us, this sense that it's not safe to share. It's not safe to be visible. It's not safe to come into my leadership and my power. And this is so important to acknowledge because those parts of ourselves that feel that fear and doubt and hesitation, you know, they're trying to protect us, right? This is a deep subconscious thing that's happening. Those parts are trying to protect us. So we can't just push them aside. It's not going to work that way. We've got to really work with them as allies. We've got to really work with those parts of ourselves that are trying to keep us safe and heal and shift and change the dynamic there. And so this is so important for us to work with now and to heal. And I feel that there are two important parts to how we heal those aspects of ourselves. Now, one is the healing work, right? So, you know, we're called to do this in all different ways, you know, whether this is seeing a therapist or this is doing a past life regression, or there's many different ways, right, to heal. So that's one piece, and that's very important, and it must be done. But also, we need to take action toward our dreams, right? We need to take the decisive action. And that part is so critically important as well, because we can do all the healing work in the world, but if we don't take steps to be visible, right? Like making that first YouTube video, for example, right? Or writing that first blog post and getting it out there, right? Many different ways we can be visible. We've got to take the practical steps as well to make it happen. So it's like those two pieces, the healing, but also the decisive action steps that we know are going to move us closer to our goals. And we will get there.
I love that. And I think a lot of times some people, they know they're meant for more. Let's say women, know they're meant for more, feel that urging, feel that sense, maybe doing some of that healing work, but then they just stay there. Like you're saying, they don't take any intentional action because that's the unfamiliar, this uncomfortable zone of outside our comfort zone. And that the fear of, I don't know what's going to happen is real. And I think that fear, back to the question, like, that holds so many people like, well, I'm going to just sit here and dream and vision and do all the cute things that are easy, but the actual practical, putting myself out there, taking that first intentional action thing, scary as heck. And then so
It's
many
really
women, because of the
scary.
trauma and conditioning, hold themselves back.
Yes. And there's another piece that's important to mention here as far as what holds us back, which is our new steps that we want to take in our life not being understood by our friends and family. And this is really big. I know when I was still working in corporate, but I was starting my business, Sacred Planet, I was doing that on the nights and weekends, and it was like never these two worlds shall meet, right? Because if those people I worked with in corporate found out I was starting a business called Sacred Planet, they would have thought it
Yeah.
was insane, right? And so this is really hard, and this is why it's so important to find the communities, like the community here that's attending your event, right? Is an amazing opportunity to connect with others who are visionary, who are ready for these next steps, and then it's like we all lift each other up together. But
Yeah.
it can be really hard of letting go. Like if our close family members don't understand, can't support us, can't get on board with where we want to go, and then it's like we're doing this on our own. It can feel very lonely. So yeah, I encourage everybody to find those communities of visionaries because
I
they
call
will
it the
thank
success
you.
squad. Wherever they are, just get your people who are rallying behind you to support you, to see it with you, hold it with you, encourage you, motivate you. Oh my God, everything game changing.
It is game
So
changing.
Jocelyn, I am so curious about that spiritual awakening. I don't know if you have like a few minutes to just kind of share, like for you, when that big shift in your life occurred to make you go from one way of seeing the world in your life to like upside down, as the bio said. Do you mind sharing that, or is it okay?
Yeah, I'm happy to share it. Yes. So I will try to give the concise version because of course it's a big deep story. So what happened was as you shared in my bio, I worked in corporate for 15 years in total. And so that was from about the year 2000 to 2015. Okay, just to give that time frame because then I'll tell you when the awakening happened in there. And I in my life I did what I thought was the right path. I went to college. I did well in school. I went to college. I got my bachelor's degree. Then I got my master's degree in finance, got a good job, moving up the corporate ladder, all that kind of stuff. And so my first daughter was born in 2010 after I'd been working in that corporate world for about 10 years. And there was something in me that just shifted when she was born. And I can remember being at home, sitting on my couch, holding her in my arms when she was maybe 4 days old, looking into her eyes. And it was this moment I will never forget where this realization, this like completely new perception of reality kind of washed over me, where I realized that I had been living my life based on what other people told me I should do for that whole time, right? I was 32 at that time. I had been doing what everybody else said was the right thing to do. And I realized in that moment that what I had been doing was not in alignment with my soul. And I mean, that's a big, oh,
Mhm.
what do you do with that? Right? Because like, I'm here holding the baby, I got to keep my life stable. I've got to keep my job and health benefits and my marriage and everything all together. And yet at that moment, I knew everything was going to change.
Wow.
And so honestly, I went into a depression for about 2 years. It was probably like postpartum depression combined with the spiritual awakening depression.
Yeah.
It was quite a time for me. And all that really mattered during that time was my daughter, and like and keeping my job, Um, and so I got through that time. And as I came out of that time, I started asking really big questions like who are we really, and who am I and why are we here and what are we supposed to be doing while we're here? And I started reading every book I could get my hands on about all different world religions and spiritual traditions because,
Mm.
well, the answer's got to be in here somewhere. I was raised Catholic, but for a while by that point I had not felt so aligned with that tradition. So I just started reading everything I could. And what really spoke to me more than anything else was indigenous wisdom, particularly at that time, North American wisdom. And that has kind of expanded over time to be ancient and indigenous wisdom in general, is
Mm.
what just calls to me. It's what I continue to study. It's what I teach about and travel to Egypt and different places to learn about. But at that time, it was the indigenous wisdom of the North Americas that spoke to me. And I was called through my meditation practice that I developed, I was called to go to New Mexico.
Mm.
That's where I met my first real teacher, wisdom keeper teacher in New Mexico. And just the most incredible, magical, mind-blowing things happened. I realized that this mountain that had been showing up in my meditations for months and months was actually what called me to New Mexico. And through synchronicities, I ended up able to go to New Mexico, which was totally out of my comfort zone and out of my wheelhouse, you know. And as we were driving into up north to Taos, we flew into Albuquerque. And then as we drove up north to Taos, you come around this bend, and I expected New Mexico to be like sand and cactuses, you know, and like
Yeah.
pretty. We came around this bend, and there's this majestic snow-capped mountain, and it was the exact mountain that had been coming to me in my meditations for months and months and months. And I realized this mountain had come into my meditation, spoken to me from 2,000 miles away, and called me to New Mexico to really start my new life. And it was very soon after that that I started my business. I
Mm.
quit my corporate job and just started doing this work, you know, full out.
Wow.
So
That's like mind blowing. Like, and I think what I want to commend you on is your courage to literally just like be in that whole zone of uncertainty, but literally the calling was so loud, it sounds like, and so uncompromisingly irresistible to like you, but you could have just like pushed it away.
yes, right. And maybe I did for many years that I didn't even know, right? And that happens to a lot of us, right? We push that away because we're like, oh, well, it can't be that important, you know, or oh, that's too big of a change. But yeah, it was so loud and clear. I kind of had a saying at the time, like, I can't not do this.
Yeah.
I can't not start this business, no matter how crazy everybody thinks I am, right?
I say the crazier it is in your mind is probably the better likelihood that it's like, it's for real. It's something you
Yeah,
need. And yeah,
so true. So
yeah.
true.
I
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. I think it's going to inspire a lot of the listeners just to hear like there you were doing the quote unquote right thing that you were told, and then to make a whole complete pivot. And then, like you said before, probably a lot of your people around you were like, Justin, are you cray cray? Like, what are you doing? You have a
They
stable
were.
job. You have, you know what I mean? Like, I may have a similar experience, but like, I totally get it, Jocelyn. It's like, when it's in alignment with our soul, our heart, our knowing, it's like I know I cannot not, ignore it. Yeah, yeah,
Can't
yeah.
not do it. If you can't not do it, then just do it. Just surrender to it now and just trust and go for it. And that's been such a big part of what I've learned on this journey, including the entrepreneurial piece, is we've got to trust. We got to trust our heart, our intuition. We got to trust our own path, even when it's different than other people's paths around us, and go for it, you know, go for it, because then we reach this point of freedom
Yeah,
and liberation sooner, right?
yeah.
That we can go for it and take the big leaps now, even when it's scary.
Jocelyn, so all the fears and doubts and all the resistance, how can women move beyond those perceived limitations
Mhm.
to the next
Yeah.
steps?
Yeah, definitely. So this is getting back to what I just started to say, right? Which is we have got to trust ourselves. Right? We've got to trust ourselves. And that's what I learned through that process. I was like, I had trusted everybody else. I had trusted what my parents said I should do, what the, you know, guidance counselor at the school said, what my friends, whatever. I needed to just put a pause on all of that and trust myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is really the biggest thing that I think any of us can do is really drop in and trust yourself. Now, it can be hard though to hear the voice of yourself, right?
And the rational, the real one, not the imposter voice.
No one, exactly, because there are a lot of really nasty negative voices that can be going on and influencing us. And so we've got to get to exactly what you said, Natalie. We've got to get to the true voice. We've got to get to the real voice of ourselves. And so I do feel it is so important for that reason that we do have a regular practice. My whole life changed and those new possibilities opened up when I started my meditation practice. Doesn't have to be meditation though. It can be yoga, it can be running, it can be nature walks, it could be going out on the paddleboard each morning, you know. It could be sitting with the sunrise, which is one thing I love to do nowadays. Really tune in if you don't have a regular practice already and see what calls to you, what feels like it would just open your heart, open your life up if you could just do this for, 15 minutes a day. Does not have to be a 3-hour meditation and yoga and qigong, every day. Like that's not going to really happen, right? But when we drop in the way that's right for us and really get clear, really get in touch with our own integrity, our own values, our own deep inner knowing and intuition, then we start to be able to discern what is the true voice. And it's so interesting because the true voice will always be a little quiet. It's not going to yell at you. It's very patient. And it's not going to tell you fearful things. This is something I've learned along the way too. When you hear a voice that's telling you something terrible is going to happen, or these people are going to hate you, or it's going to be a catastrophe or whatever, that is not your true essence.
Yeah.
That is one of the limiting belief voices, right? So really listen for that very calm, still, quiet voice within you, and in your practice, you'll be able to get clear. You'll be able to get clear. And sometimes my inner voice is more excitable. It's not so calm always. Sometimes it's like, yes, this is going to be so amazing, but it's always like positive,
Positive.
always guiding me like toward the best and brightest. And that is one way to know. And so this is another thing to keep in mind is we are each so much more powerful and capable, and I like to say magical, than we've ever been told, because our parents didn't know to tell us that. Our teachers in school didn't know to tell us that. But we have so much power within us. We can accomplish such incredibly great things in the world. And so when we tune into the part of ourselves that knows what those great things are that we came here to accomplish and can start letting us know. I call this also the sacred instructions. That's one of my phrases that I use, right? Sacred instructions from the universe. Now, you might not say universe, anybody listening, you might say God.
I'd say God, yeah.
Creator, right? But it's the same concept. So use the word that works for you. But these sacred instructions are the clear insights, the clear guidance, the clear path ahead of what we're meant to do next to move us toward our highest work, our highest purpose, our highest contribution. So, when I saw that mountain in my meditations, and at first I couldn't make any sense of why the mountain was there, but then I got the message, you got to go to New Mexico, right? That's an example of sacred instructions. The thing with the sacred instructions, though, is it will often tell you to do things that you never imagined
To
you would
push
do.
you. Yeah.
Will push you out of your comfort zone. And when you hear that, and especially like I heard that like 40 times before I said yes, right? Because I was like, well, what? New Mexico? I have a 2-year-old, what? But it was so clear and it was so consistent. So this is how that inner voice works. This is how the sacred instructions come in. At a certain point, you just know. And no matter how crazy it is, you got to say yes and take a step toward it.
I want to add to that sometimes, I know in my experience, it's like I'll hear something, I'll know something, but my little overthinking mind starts to doubt what my knowing knows. And then I would say God brings people in my life who confirm and validate that knowing as well. And that's, for me, that's when it's like, Natalie, okay, this is not, not your little brain saying something crazy. This is real, and it's real. So now you cannot second guess, because this person how could they know the same thing that you know? And it's just it's one of those confirmations to me of this is what you're to do next, or this is what you're being prepared for.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's such a beautiful way of putting it. And we're constantly in training. This is such an interesting thing that I learned too along the way, right? All of those 15 years in corporate, we're training for what I'm doing now, right? It's so fascinating because I learned everything about finance, business, project management, and now that's what I'm helping people do in their own businesses and to get their own businesses started. It's just fascinating. So know that nothing is wasted.
Nothing is wasted.
Training for what you're going to do next. It's just amazing how it works.
I love that. I'm well, from my belief as a believer, there's a verse that says, he will always restore the years the locust has stolen from you, meaning that you may think the ship has sailed, or look, my field is all gone, the locust ate all my flowers or whatever, but the verse is about, no, he can restore. Well, in my belief, he can restore, he will restore. If it's meant for you, nothing is impossible to get you back on that path, right? So
And
yeah,
nothing is lost. Nothing is lost.
nothing's ever lost, nothing's wasted, everything is leverage, everything is preparation, everything is a step in the journey, even though you don't know it at the time. Like I same with my life, Jocelyn, and it keeps being unveiled to me more and more, like, oh my God, I didn't know that when that happened. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, right, right. Those moments that you look back 3 years later or 5 years later and you're like, oh my gosh, now I see exactly why it had to happen exactly that way.
right.
Right. But in the moment, we can't see it. So there's a lot of trust involved, a lot of trust needed on this path.
So Jocelyn, for those women listening who, people won't believe it, like me, tend to be more introverted, how can we gain the courage and the motivation and the, whatever the word, command to step out and come here and do the darn thing and speak up, get our voice out there?
Yes, definitely. So this is where I feel taking the decisive action steps are just incredibly important, because at a certain point, we've got to prove to ourselves that we can do it. And that changes everything, right? So for example, I work with a lot of clients who are, really afraid to get their voice out for whatever those different reasons may be. And so, I'm going to invite them to make videos. I'm going to invite them to do interviews. And the most amazing transformation happens each and every time, right? When they surrender to the process. Because what starts to happen is we build confidence. It's a skill like anything else. Being visible is a skill that we can learn. Right. And there are ways that we can do it that are friendly to our introvertedness. There are ways that we can do it that are friendly to our, highly sensitive nature, because I'm all of those, and my clients are too, like empathic, intuitive, introverted, highly
Yeah,
sensitive. So
HSP.
we got to be kind to ourselves. We got to be gentle with ourselves, but not gentle to the point of not taking action, right? Because then you're just holding yourself in a stuck pattern. When you take action and when you make that first video, or you do that first interview and second and third interview, it starts to change everything inside of you. You start to have these much newer, elevated levels of confidence, because you see, oh my gosh, I can do it. I can do this. And it doesn't have to be perfect the first time or ever. I'm still not, I've been doing this for years and years now. I make videos every day. I'm still not perfect, but that's okay, because I can show up with confidence and with clarity. And that's what we're developing, is this ability to see, wow, I saw that as like the biggest obstacle, right? I never dreamed I could do that. And now I've done it. And actually, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I
Or
literally just
when
had
you,
an experience like that this past week,
yeah.
a speaking engagement that was really intimidating to me, Jocelyn.
Mhm.
They don't know how scared I was. They have, if they hear this, they might know after the fact, but I'm saying, like, I was really, it was a lot of different things that intimidated me. I literally was like, this can go really bad or whatever. And but to your point, me now having that experience, and it wasn't perfect, but it went well. It was really well received. I had 2 sessions, and that now having, like, your body and brain and being has embodied the experience. So the next time something like that, or even something more intimidating comes up, I can go back in my brain and being and be like, well, I did that, and it went, even though at the time it seemed so crazy. No, I've done it.
Yeah.
It's now a win. I could celebrate, and now I can say, like, wow, look at you. You've stretched again.
Exactly. And every time we do something, that's such an amazing story, and congratulations. I'm so glad it went well. And every time we do something like that, our capacity increases, our confidence increases, our understanding of our true power increases, and that changes everything. Right? That makes us much more likely to be able to say yes to the next big opportunity, the
Yes.
next chance for visibility, and not feel quite so afraid. Or if we do feel afraid, again, know that it's okay, and we're going to get through it too, and it's going to get easier and easier with time. And that's another thing too. It's like it's scary the first time or the first few times, and then it starts to get easier, and then
Yeah.
it gets fun. Like I remember the first time I ever did a live webinar, I was just terrified and the technology didn't work well and it was a mess, right? But that was like so long ago. I've made so many videos since then and I have so much fun now. Like I just earlier today I recorded a YouTube live. I love it. I have so much fun. And so and I'm a very introverted person, you know. If you see me at a party, it's different. On Zoom, it's so funny. But like we can do this. And really getting back to the first thing that we were talking about in this conversation, the world needs us as empaths, intuitives, introverts to be the next leaders because we are the ones that can hold space for everything that's happening in the world. We are the ones that can really look out for the good of the whole community because we have that ability to be empathic and compassionate and intuitive. So it's like, we got to rise. Our time is now. Our time is now.
This is the power shift.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Exactly.
So Jocelyn, what tools are available now that make it easier for us to share our skills, gifts, and expertise with the world?
Yes. Well, this is the really fun part. You know, there are so many tools available to us right now. Like you and I are recording this interview on video, on Zoom, and it's going to go all around the world, right? It's going to go out to so many people in many different countries. And this is so exciting. You know, one thing that I find that when clients come to me, a big thing that's limiting them is they're trying to reach people in their local area only. And that's really hard. It's really hard to break out of, out of a certain level of financial resources and impact when you're only working with people in your local area. But when you go online or using YouTube or creating conferences like this amazing conference or all the different ways we can use the online tools, and you reach the whole world with your message, this really puts you in a position of unlimited financial potential, unlimited impact of like this amazing purpose work that you're here to do, being able to reach so many people around the world. And it can put you in touch with many more of the people who are really ready to receive what you want to give.
Yeah.
Like I know here, I live on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. It's a pretty conservative area. There's like 3 people here, that like might be my ideal clients in this whole town. But when I can reach the world, there's tens or hundreds of thousands of people who might be my ideal clients. And that's really important to pay attention to, because then it becomes much more easeful and joyful and easy to do our work, to get our voice out, and to really make the difference in the world that we came here to do. So,
Yeah.
so these tools, I think video is like the number one tool. So whether we're doing that on Zoom, we're doing live webinars, or we're pre-recording things and sending videos out, if maybe we're using YouTube, so many different ways to utilize video. But video is such an amazing tool because on video, people can really, it's like we're sitting in the room, across the table from each other, right?
Feel the vibe even stronger.
Feel the energy, the personality, I can really convey the fullness of everything I'm saying, much different than if I was writing in a blog or just doing audio only. So video, I think, is one of the key tools. And then there are just amazing tools available to create a website with very little learning curve, to create an email list, to, be able to send your message out all the way around the world. And these are tools that we need. These are things that I guide people to set up in their businesses. I know you probably do as well, because these are just like the foundation. And then what we can do from there is infinite.
Exponential.
Exponential, yes.
Jocelyn, is there anything else, any little tidbit, wisdom, intuitive knowing right now that you feel you want to share with our listening audience and others who are listening at a later time?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's see. I'm just seeing what's coming through. Interestingly, what's coming through for me intuitively is like the future generations. This is so interesting, right? Like those who are young people now, and then their kids and their kids and their kids, right? And I'm just feeling like, yeah, we are here to step up. We wanted to come here now at this time, right? We wanted to be alive right now. Our souls have brought us here. And we are here to do some big work. We're here to do some heavy lifting and really change the world. And it takes so much courage. It takes so much boldness. And we have what it takes.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it. We're doing it already. You and I, by having this conversation, we're doing it. All the conversations you're having
Yeah.
in this gathering, it's happening. And we are creating that brighter future for the next generations. And that's so powerful. So I just invite everybody listening, follow your heart, follow that deep inner knowing that you have, take the next big leap, trust, don't be afraid. Or if you feel afraid, it's okay. Do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
And you're going to feel amazing on the other side of that. And you're going to know that you're bringing your highest contribution into the world. So,
I
yes.
love that because that gives me goosebumps that, highest contribution, that phrase just is what will make me not ever back down from anything really scary. Just knowing that this is another pathway, or this is the next step for me to make my highest, Jocelyn. I've always been motivated by impact, my impact and the impact of those I work with or help and support and guide. And the rest comes along with that, right? So I feel like that highest contribution, that term, it's a new term for me, but it's one that I'm like, I'll be using forever, I know, because it just speaks volumes. Thank you so much for all this amazing wisdom and insight and just all your story. Jocelyn, what's your free gift for our audience?
Yeah, I'm excited to offer this free gift. So this is a video workshop that I created, and it's called The Energetics of Money for Spiritual Entrepreneurs. Now, this energetics of money topic is just so important for us because we've got to be able to receive, right? We've got to be able to receive everything we need. And something that I always say is that the universe, or you could say God, goddess, creator, right? The universe wants us to have everything we need to carry out our highest mission, our highest contribution, like we were just saying, right? And so we're meant to have all of those resources, the financial resources, the health,
The
the
people,
connections, the people, the community. We're meant to have all of that, but we're often blocking it. We're often thinking we're not worthy of it, or people who have money are not good, or whatever, right? We have all these crazy limiting beliefs that get in the way. So this video is really designed to help clear out those limiting beliefs, to really show you a new perspective, break through new ideas about how to really heal your relationship with money. And it's a very powerful talk. So I hope you all will enjoy it. I had so much fun creating it.
I would invite you all to just sign up for that. It's going to be amazing. I already have had experiences with Jocelyn, and it's like she's really, everything you see is what you get: authentic, real, wise, and just a soulful being. Jocelyn, it was amazing to have this interview with you. I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Natalie. It's been so much fun talking with you, and it is
Yes,
really an
yes.
honor to be here as part of your Power Shift Summit. So amazing.
So everyone, thank you for listening, and I can't wait to share the next interview with you. So until next time, bye-bye.